You are now listening to N21FM, a Pokemon TCG podcast. I'm your host, Glenn. I'm joined, as always, by my co-host, Johnny Sushi. And today we actually have a guest for the first time since the kind of change in format, Jose, who is known locally in our competitive scene quite a bit, actually. A really incredible performer and competitor in the local Charlotte scene. How are you guys doing tonight?
Doing really good. Hanging in there as always.
Glad to hear it. A little bit of housekeeping before we really get into things. I do apologize because I am feeling a little under the weather. You can probably hear it in my voice. I am getting over a cold. I am loaded up with Mucinex. I am doing my best to stay hanging on. So you might hear a sniffle or a cough or two. Just have a little bit of patience with me. And then, of course, for the viewers as well, be sure to visit patreon.com/terminalcreative to support the show, get access to our bonus show, and get early access to every episode. We're recording this on Friday night, and this won't go up on free feeds until next Wednesday. So, I mean, you're doing yourself a disservice by not even participating in that. $5 a month gets you early access and all that extra content. So by all means, pop over there, give the show some support. We really appreciate it. But all that out of the way with, let's go ahead and get started. Jose, tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
And I'm just one of the Poke Dads. We travel around playing Pokemon. Yeah. It kind of all started a couple of years ago. My wife got me back into collecting. She bought me like a base set, full base set, master set. And it was like
nice.
It like snowballed from there. And my kids got into it, and eventually I got into it. So it's been a ride here lately.
That's really cool. Did you start with collecting or playing?
I initially started collecting this time. I mean, I played when I was a kid, and but this time I started collecting, and then I got into playing some. My son wanted to try it out, and he ended up doing really well. So I was like, all right, let's take this seriously. And my daughter got into it as well. So we all just kind of did it now.
That's super cool. Wow. How long have y'all been playing the game?
So 2 years essentially. Well, this will be a year and a half now. We did all last season and then this season.
Super cool. So you said you started last season really competing, kind of taking it super seriously. Was that everybody at the same time, or did anybody like really latch on to it faster than anybody else, or was it kind of a group family thing?
It was so we were actually on vacation at Myrtle Beach, and there was a cup at Myrtle Beach Games that same week. And my son, I think, had he had like a Tinkaton deck with him. I was like, all right, okay, let's go play. And he had a blast. That was his first cup ever. And that was one of my first ones too. So that's kind of where it really took off. And this was like in August. After that, we booked our first regional shortly after, which was, I believe, in Pennsylvania. I don't remember what city it was, but we went to that, and he ended up placing. I think he did like top 32 or so. I was like, okay, nice. Let's do this. My daughter didn't really take it seriously till maybe half the way through the season, and I'm like, all right, this is your only year as a senior. I think you should go for it. And she pulled it together and went. I got her invite, so they both ended up with their invites. I messed around a little bit too much, and I like playing a bunch of the road decks, so I didn't do too well last season. And
I totally get that.
But yeah, this season I decided to take it a lot more seriously, and it's paid off.
Very nice, very nice. So when it comes to you said your daughter's no longer a senior. She's a master now, right?
She is a master.
Cool. And what division is your son in? Remind me.
He is a junior.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I remember seeing him at the Cup at Buzz City, and obviously there were technically only 2 juniors, but his record was really impressive. And seeing some of his gameplay, I could tell he was definitely like really good with like playing and competing. It's cool to see how fostering a culture of being able to be competitive and understanding the game is really like clearly having a good effect on him as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like he impresses me so much sometimes. Like it's like you see lines that I don't see sometimes. Like
Yeah,
it blows my mind how he can pull through
that's
sometimes.
um now you said real briefly, I want to kind of touch on this. You said you're a big fan of rogue decks. Other than the one we have on the docket that we're going to talk about in a little bit, do you have any favorite rogue decks from prior formats?
Yeah. So before Reggie Drago was what it is now,
Yeah.
I played Reggie Drago, but it was Arceus Reggie Drago. And I played it quite a
Ooh.
bit. I played Arc Drago with Judge Path. That was one of my favorite things to
Okay.
play. And so we kind of had this fun thing where if someone did bad at some event we were at out of our group, that was kind of their punishment. You had to play this at the next
Oh no.
event, at the next cup.
That's awesome.
Oh man.
Your
So,
punishment is
but believe it or not, whenever that happened, they ended up top cutting. When if it was like a cup or something, I mean, it got them there.
that's good motivation. That's really good motivation. That's awesome.
That's super cool.
Do y'all like as a family just like travel to a lot of regionals? I know and we'll talk about it later, but I know you guys are going to San Antonio. Do you travel a lot for regionals?
We do. Last season, we did a lot of just U.S. regionals,
Mhm.
and this season we have a lot more freedom, and so we got our passports. I was like, all right, we traveled the U.S. last year. This year, we're gonna just travel the world. Um,
Nice.
so that's what we've been doing. We're going to Puerto Rico, Merida, and I'll be going alone with Dallas White to London.
Nice. That'll
That's
be super
super
cool.
cool. Yeah.
That's really awesome. I've been trying to get my wife to travel with me to regionals, and she's not sold on it yet, but we'll get there, I'm sure. I'm waiting for it to be like a really good destination. I think I'm gonna be able to convince her to come with me to Worlds, either this year or next year though, because
It's really
she
cool.
wants to see LA and stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely. My wife actually would staff the events as well. So
Oh,
we all
sick!
did something.
That's so fun.
That's
Oh my god.
awesome.
That's super cool.
That's really really cool. So the whole entire family is just so involved in this game. That's so cool, man. It's really impressive to have just everybody involved in that. Is that the whole family?
Yeah,
Okay,
because
wow. That's so cool to me, like to have everybody in the family be like, all right, we all have this one thing. Because you don't see that super often. You see some people who will be like, oh, most of us do this, but you'll have like the
it
one
Yeah.
has.
kid who's like, nah, that's lame. I don't wanna I don't wanna do that.
No,
I'm
I'm
gonna go play
super
Yu-Gi-Oh!
fortunate. Super fortunate. My wife has been really supportive of all this and put up with all the travel and stuff, and we all enjoy it.
That's super cool, dude.
Yeah. That's so
Very,
awesome.
very nice. I think that's kind of all I've got for kind of asking about some families. Do you have anything else you want to kind of add to that, or do we want to move a little bit forward?
Oh, I think that's good.
Cool, man.
Yeah, so I guess to the real nitty-gritty of it, but you've gotten a couple of really good placements recently in the international scene, going 27th at LAIC and then 53rd at Bogota. And you're using Gouging Fire, which, as someone who really takes to rogue decks every now and then, I gotta say, this is a heck of a pick, because the deck is something that looks kind of like a pile almost, but it works. What was the inspiration? What was the reason behind it?
All right, so at LAIC, I was supposed to play Terapagos Dustnor. I had my
Okay.
list submitted, sleeved up, everything ready to go Thursday night, and but I still had Gouging Fire with me. So we're standing in line at the convention center ready to get into the event. Um, and I remember the time. It was 7:58, and I'm not doing this. And I didn't have time. I didn't have time to
That's
fully
awesome.
submit. I didn't have time to fully submit my list, so I remember the list was exactly like Luke Kirkham's list. I went
Okay.
on Limitless, copied it, submitted that list,
So
and
sick.
so I get inside, and I'm looking it over to make sure all my arts were correct. Two cards were incorrect,
Yeah.
so I'm scrambling
Oh
last minute
no.
there to find some cards. I needed a Luminion and a Judge. So I happened to find some Portuguese ones at one of the
Oh man.
vendors, and I put those in and went for it.
Awesome.
And
That's so sick. That's
I
so
had
fun.
it's crazy because I played the deck a little bit here and there, no real testing with it, but it reminded me of when I played Turbo Moon with water energy and to be able to use
Okay.
Greninja. It reminded me of the gameplay, a lot of that. So I'm like, okay, I have a lot more fun with this deck than Terapagos. And
Yeah.
so after I submitted all that, um, I felt more comfortable. It was like a relief. I'm like, I'll at least have fun today. Um, but that was it was just like a last minute thing. Dallas and Shane that were with me did not know. They didn't know till like round 4 when they
Oh.
walked up to my table and they're like, "You're not playing turtles."
That's so sick.
That is so cool. Oh man. What kind of I guess what kind of drew you to that deck in the first place? Because that's like even by like last minute standards, that's not something I don't think a lot of people would have been like comfortable saying like, okay, yeah, I know this enough that like I can take another list and just 2 minutes left, submit.
Um, so like I said, I played a Turbo Moon quite a bit, and it plays essentially the same, but it can smack so much harder
Okay.
sometimes,
Yeah.
and I don't have to like you don't take damage from it,
Gotcha.
and the ability to be
Okay.
not as linear of a deck as Raging Bolt just opens up possibilities,
Yeah.
like the Delphox, having Monkey Dory,
Absolutely. Yeah.
using Fluttermane, like it just opens the deck up, and sometimes people can't respond to it. And ultimately ended up
Yeah.
being
For
a
sure.
great metacall because people didn't know
Hmm.
how to counter it at the time.
Yeah, it's definitely a list that I don't think a lot of people haven't really seen in play, and even less have actually touched it, I'm sure. Um, it's God, it's got a lot going for it as someone who's kind of sleeved it up and played around with it here and there. I can totally understand, you know, why those lines are kind of there, why you really enjoy that. But I guess what are I don't know. What are some of your favorite lines to go for in it? Like what's your like bread and butter type of play with it, you know?
So certain matchups there, I had to learn on the fly, like the Raging Bolt matchup.
Yeah.
To me, that seemed extremely hard, and a lot of people do think it's really hard.
Mm-hmm.
But I just kind of thought about it. I'm like, okay, I have Iron Bundle. I do have Entei, have Forest Seal. So I would normally, if I went, they made me go first. I would try to set up just a one prize board, and when it came to my turn, they would try to hide behind a Greninja normally, and have Ogerpon
Mm-hmm.
on bench. So my favorite thing was, all right, I'll set up Entei, Magma Base, and Jet Energy, either bundle or boss. I'm taking the first two prizes.
Nice.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
I set the pace of the game.
That's
Yeah, it seemed to work just about.
absolutely.
I
No,
went,
that's super sick.
yeah.
Do you still rock this same 60?
Very close. I've added Koraidon into it. I no longer play the Iron Bundle. I think that's the only change, really.
Okay.
So you run 2 Koraidon now?
Um, Single Koraidon. I'm running the same list that I did in Bogota because
Okay,
LAIC
gotcha.
was
Okay.
pre-Surging Sparks.
That's
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
very nice.
No, that's super cool. The was the bundle just, was it not working out quite as much, or were you maybe hitting bosses earlier on and not needing to kind of bundle, or I guess maybe like Sada right away?
Um, I think the bundle was a more cuttable card for me. Like I found more value in the Koraidon at the moment than I did bundle.
Okay.
Mainly because of like all the Terrapagos, um, Chaos Terrapagos, Chaos Bear, Pheasantipity.
Mm-hmm.
It just seemed
Yeah,
more valuable.
for sure. Yeah, as someone who's played a lot of Roaring Moon in the last few months now, and especially with Koraidon coming out, that Koraidon being in there is, I see like a Pheasantipity hit the board, and
Yeah,
I'm just like, all right, cool. So we've got another option here, and an
yeah,
easier one
exactly.
too. So yeah, I can totally understand getting the Koraidon in. Nice. I think I want to take a moment to highlight that Delphox V actually.
I was just gonna say that. That's such a sick
uh,
card.
I'm I'm a fairly notorious Arc Armor Rouge and
Oh
later
yeah.
on Shiyu Armor Rouge
Yes.
enjoyer as rogue decks go. I've talked about it multiple times on here at my previous area with my previous league in Tampa. I played Arc Armor Rouge a ton. So Delphox was a staple in that. What is, I guess, like, just how often do you use Delphox? Is it like not too often, or are you getting it like that snipe attack off more often than people think you would?
I get the snipe attack often, very often. Um, it's very funny you asked that because over I think the last weekend I was at R&B Games here in Statesville at a cup in Top Cup playing
Mm-hmm.
against a Arclodon deck, and they made the comment. They were like, "I didn't realize how easily you can get the Delphox play off." And it's extremely easy. I would get it off turn one if need be. Some games I did it quite a bit at LAIC,
Oh
um,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes I would go back to back Delphox. And
my
Mm-hmm.
gosh.
That
after you
is
do that,
crazy.
I mean,
Gross.
that's detrimental. Like you can't come back from that normally.
Game's over.
That game's over.
Oh,
But
Yeah.
it's actually very
and it's
attainable.
that's super sick, and it doesn't feel too bad like getting rid of those energy, does it? Like, because you have the
It
lost zone. I mean, especially if you're going back to back, obviously you're
Yes.
going four, which is crazy, but even two can sometimes be tough.
It can be, but normally it's a fire and a jet that I'm lost zoning, so I can sacrifice one fire.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
and
That's
it
not
does hurt when you
too
do
bad,
lost zone
actually.
two fires.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No doubt. Have you
that's so cool.
have you ever had to survive off of like the eerie glow at all with that?
I have. I have.
Ooh.
Eerie Glow, if you just start Delphox, attach pass, that feels rough. And so I did
Yeah.
play Arc Armor
Oh
Rouge
man.
quite a bit. I played Arc Armor Rouge for a little while, and
Nice.
that happened so much to me. Delphox attach pass, Eerie
Hmm.
Glow.
No, that's super cool. Like
That's
that's
awesome.
always rough to do that, but I mean, as attacks go that stall for time, it's not
It does.
terrible.
Absolutely, it
Oh man.
does.
Walk me through, I guess, maybe your what's your favorite like under is or do you have like an underrated attacker in here that's maybe not like the Delphox? Like is are we getting like Fluttermane, in here to do a lot more than you think you would, or is like Mew coming in to like save the day at the end of a game sometimes? Like,
Fluttermane it carries a lot sometimes. Um, into the Zard matchup, Dragapult matchup, Fluttermane is used a lot. Normally into Zard, I'll punch with Gouging Fire, clean up with Fluttermane, put 20 on Pidgeot. It
mm-hmm.
sets up my KOs for
Yeah.
future
Oh
Gouging
man.
Fires. But
Oh wow.
especially into Lost Box, Fluttermane is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Don't tell them that. Don't tell them that information.
We've been on a bit of a lost box train now that Badoo's come out, and we're hoping that Drago stonks go down,
Please don't make
so
the
lost box
sauce.
stonks go up. But Fluttermane's the one thing that's just gonna
Be
keep
a real
kicking our
problem.
butts.
So please
Oh
do
man.
not match me in any event that we're at. I do not want to get paired against you. That will just be a bad time for me.
Oh man.
Oh man.
So I guess with this deck goes, what are some of your favorite matchups, and then maybe some of your least favorite matchups? Like, give us maybe like a top, I don't know, 2 to 3 of each.
I think my favorite matchup, realistically, has been Raging Bolt. Um,
Okay.
it seems really easy. Just you can go take two, maybe sometimes take four with Delphox, set up damage with one,
Hmm.
and then Delphox an Ogerpon and clean up the Raging Bolt. Um, the hardest
Hmm.
matchup for me is Charizard. That's an extremely
Yeah.
difficult match, and even our Arclodon, that is such a difficult match between the Turos
Mm,
and
true.
not being able to hit for weakness. That matchup is extremely difficult.
Yeah.
Um, I've
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
contemplated.
Not having access to that fire weakness.
Yes, that makes it really hard. I've contemplated going double monkey, but
Okay.
the that just it's hard to prioritize manually attaching two dark energies sometimes when you need to get gouging
Hmm.
fires
You
going.
could run a you could consider running, and this is totally me spitballing, so take it for what it is. But I know when I was trying to hit that exact that degree of like, oh man, I'm just a tiny little bit short. As bad as it seems, I want to say it's Vitality Band. That's just a net +10.
Yeah,
With under any circumstance, I think that could be interesting to see. I don't know. I'm totally just spitballing here
definitely.
because that makes it 270. 270 and 270 and a monkey is exactly where you want to
300.
be for our Caledon with no weakness.
Yeah, that might not be a bad a take right there. But at the same time, I was gonna say, does that like would that like eat into, I guess, charm, or I guess your Bogota list, actually you switched to capsule. Ooh,
Yeah,
that's kind
I
of fun
went capsules with it.
too.
And that
Okay.
was the capsules is because of Cloth Terapagos.
Good
Okay.
choice. That's
That's
Yep.
such a bonus
smart.
deck.
That's super smart. I was gonna say, like, Bravery Charm C's a lot more versatile, but at the end of the day, really, you're pretty much always trying to attack with Gouging Fire, and then like the three other real attackers in this deck, I guess, would be, yeah, the Fluttermane, Entei, and Delphox, and at least one of those
Yep.
can still have a capsule attached as well.
Mhm.
Ooh,
Yeah.
Fluttermane with capsule actually is kind of sick too. Like that
That's what
level of
130.
HP is good. That gets it out of dusk range and a lot of other stuff
It
too.
does.
True.
I use it like that a lot as well.
Hmm. Oh man.
I'm curious. Do you have a
Um.
favorite card in this list? Like one, because it's a very off the wall list overall. Like I know some people, the Secret Box cult is very partial to Secret Box. I know I'm a big Kieran fan in just about every deck. What are some of those? Do you have like a card that you're like, no, I have to make this fit? It's a card that I know I'm like that with some of my deck building, but what do you think?
I would say I'm very partial to my jet energies. I know a lot of people have taken them out in place of
Yeah.
like Latios, but I refuse to lose to a controller stall.
That's a good choice.
That's super fair. Yeah. This deck, honestly, with the jet energy, feels so good into some of those matchups too.
Oh
I've
yeah.
run them on live a little bit, and it can handle those surprisingly well. So I really like 4 jet energy in there.
Oh yeah. Like in Bogota, my round one, I hit block lax. And
Oh,
I'm like, all
Oh.
right, I can do this. Like this. I've played this match so much. And game one, he tried to mimic you lock me. I was like, okay, I have Koraidon and Fluttermane. And that Koraidon is amazing into that match. It KOs Mimic You with Cape.
Mhm.
So no problem. I win that game. We go next game. And he tries to use Block Lax to trap me. It didn't work. He ended up scooping. Really cool dude, but he knew like it wasn't possible.
Oh man,
that's so cool.
that's super cool. God, that's so nice to have like a good, clean, matchup into some of those decks. So that's really
Yeah.
fun. Um, I was gonna say, what was or I guess walk us through a little bit of like your tournament run experience there with LAIC and Bogota too, and like what was, I guess you kind of highlighted a little bit, especially you were entering last minute at LAIC with that one, and then round four, Shane and Dallas are like, oh, what is this? Wait, kind of what comes next with that? What was it feeling like as you were climbing with that?
So I start off. I mean, um, I went 1-0 into Guardy. I'm like, okay, cool. I had the okay matchup into it. I think they didn't know how to play the matchup because that's another hard matchup for me, but it's
Mm-hmm.
very doable. They just didn't know what to do. When the Delphox came out and kept taking
Yeah.
2 prizes, they couldn't handle that. Um, then round two, I played Terapagos, um, and another player didn't know how to handle the matchup. It was okay, uh, pretty easy win. Now, when it started to get hard, round three, I look at my opponent's name and it's Sheldon. And I recall Dallas talking about a Sheldon from Africa being the number one player there. and he's playing
Okay.
Pult Thorns. I'm like, wow, I have
Yikes.
not touched this matchup. Um, and he pulls out the giraffe at one point. What is Giraffe Rig EX?
Oh, yeah, the
Oh,
I'm like,
Farigiraf.
the Farigiraf. Oh my
Farigiraf,
God.
yes. Yeah, he pulls
What?
that out. I'm like, what does that do? I haven't read that card in a while. So I look at my board after I read it. I was like,
Oh
I can't
man.
handle that right now. It's like I have to handle this right, like quickly. So I quickly set up Fluttermane
Yeah.
and start chipping at it with Fluttermane. And I'm like, okay, I have to get rid
Okay.
of it. Um, and he
That's
just
not an
had
easy chip either.
no, it's not. Just setting damage up with Fluttermane and Monkey till I was able to get it. And just Pult Thorns is fairly difficult because I mean if they start Thorns, I can't use my abilities unless I can find my Fluttermane. And
Hmm.
once a Dragapult comes out, that I think gets kind of hard to KO if they start spreading damage on me. But it was all right. At one point, um, in game one, after the draft was gone, it got pretty close, but I was able to take care of the last Dragapult. And game two, he just had really unfortunate start. He couldn't really get going, and that was it for that
Yeah.
match. Um, round four. So during all this, Dallas and Shane didn't know what I was playing. My son didn't really either know what I was playing. He thought I was still playing Turtles. So, so, and he was having an off day. He didn't do too well at LAIC. Um, so I was like, all right, I'm doing okay. I gotta pull through here. Um, then I hit my first Raging Bolt, and I'm like, all right, I don't know how to handle this here. Um, so I quickly thought of what I could do with Entei, quickly take KOs, and it worked. It worked flawlessly. Uh, both games back to back. Um, had no problems. And round five, I hit Kaiwin, and Kaiwin is an amazing player. Was playing Drago. We got deck checked that round, and
Oh,
yeah, so we're sitting there just talking, and I had met Kaiwin before, but I didn't remember who he was really. Um, and so we get our decks back, no problems. We shuffle up, and I dead draw. I can't get set up, and
no.
Kaiwin plays his game. That's it. He 2-0s me very quickly, and there's nothing I can do. And I just take my loss. It is what it is. Round five, I hit Jesper Eriksson, and he's playing Lost
Mm,
Box.
Oh man.
yeah.
He's playing Lost Box,
Ooh.
but I'm like, all right, all these Lost Box players have been playing Manaphy lately, so it's Delphox time to shine here, and that's where I get the
Yeah.
Yeah.
double the back-to-back Delphox on him, and
So sick.
Nice.
I I felt so bad. I felt so bad doing that to him, but eh.
No, don't feel bad.
uh,
but uh, and I mean the matchup was just like pretty one-sided. The Delphox carried so much along with the Fluttermane. He couldn't do a whole lot. It seemed
yeah.
like he was dead drawing the whole game, and that was it. Um,
Yeah.
round seven, I played Isla, the Goldango player from top four.
Hmm.
Um, I go first game I win, Um, game two, they changed how they played the matchup, and it turned. They used more Palkia, more Greninja, and made the matchup extremely difficult. So I lose game two. Um, and so I'm like, okay, game three, I try to go very aggressive. Um, everything's working fine. I'm able to pull off the Delphox, get rid of Gimme Ghouls. Um, so there's no Goldengos coming out, but he gets Palkia going, Greninja going, and at one point in the game, I concealed cards, and I accidentally draw one extra card, and I look at it. I'm like, no,
It's the worst.
no. I knew
The
what I
nightmare
just did.
scenario.
I knew exactly what just
That's
happened, and
terrible.
yep, I was on pace to win that match,
Yep.
and that was it. Two prize penalty.
We could have seen you in
That.
top 4.
Well, I mean that could have changed the whole trajectory of the tournament. I could have hit some worse matchups. Um, it is what it is, and I ended up hitting I think a couple more Raging Bolts. Back to back Raging Bolts. Which, like I said, so the whole tournament I went undefeated into Raging Bolt. It wasn't that bad of a match.
Nice.
Um, and so to me, the cloth match was so much harder than the Raging Bolt match.
Yeah.
After the Raging Bolt, I hit cloth, and the claw at the time I was playing Charms, so they could poison me, they can one hit KO me, and it made the matchup so close and difficult because at the end of the game they just come in with bear. Yeah.
Wild.
So round this is round 10. I win game one, and there's a judge standing in front, like beside us the whole our game two. I'm like, what's going on? So towards the end of the game, he stops my opponent, and my opponent was playing kind of slow. Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm okay with that because we had like 30 minutes left. I'm like, okay, we can take our time. It's fine.
Yeah.
So they gave him a warning, and then they turn around and give me a warning and said I took a minute to promote a Pokemon. I'm like, all right. I mean, I didn't take a minute, but I'll take my warning, whatever. Because I looked at my hand. I'm like, it's kind of pointless. I'm about to win this round. So I take my KO and I hand my mouse slip directly to him. And he's like, y'all are done? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's why we were taking our time. We had plenty of time for the round. It's like, it's no big deal.
Wow.
The guy was just trying to find his lines. Like, I'm not that kind of guy that's gonna call someone on a slow playing like that because he's trying to figure out the matchup. I know he was having a hard time, and I was ahead. I'm like, okay, I'm compassionate. I will give you a chance here. Like, let me see if you can do something.
Especially if it's like Gouging Fire. It'd be one thing if you were playing like a pretty standard deck, but like that's a matchup that very few people were prepped for. So come on, chill out.
Yeah, no. I mean, I was okay with it. I had no problem. I mean, you don't see. I was the only one there playing that day too, so like it's fine.
Yeah.
And so I end up winning that round. And then round 11, I end up playing Gabe Smart. He's on Terrapagos.
Yeah.
And that's the picture I sent you was that round. And they snapped that picture as I magical fired his only Hoot Hoots away. So.
Oh, nice.
That's why he looked kind of flustered. Um,
So sick. Perfect
but like
thumbnail.
we were we were both having just like awful starts, awful draws. So I only thing was that I had to power up Delphox manually, and I magical fire both his hoots away, along with judging him, and but he was still able to come back from that. I had nothing going for me that game, um, and he just 2-0'd me quickly because I also misplayed quite a bit. I didn't really know my lines into that match. Um,
Mhm.
and the Bouffalons just made it a little extra difficult, not being able to one hit KO the
Right.
Terrapagos as easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just unprepared for that match. Even though I was there to play Terrapagos, I didn't know the lines
Yeah.
into that match with Gouging Fire.
Right.
Yeah,
That's a tough deck to beat. It's very good.
it
I
is. It
definitely
is
can't
very
blame
tough.
you for not knowing.
Yeah, it starts steamrolling pretty quickly.
It does. Well, once he got his board set up, I mean, there was no hope. Because at one point
Hmm.
I was able to get down to one prize, um, while he still had all six to take, and he came back from that. And Iono late game
Wow.
into Gouging Fire, it's you can't
Oh,
recover. You can't recover if you don't have me
yeah.
down or something. There's no coming back from that. But he
Yeah, that seems pretty tough.
it is very tough. But he 2-0'd me there. And it is game smart. I think part of it was, I mean, I was also very nervous into that match. Um,
Yeah.
I've
Mhm.
never been up there at those tables. When I played
That's so cool.
when I played Isla, uh, he took a video and he started naming people off. So I look around me. I'm like, look to my right, look to my left. I'm like, oh my God, I don't belong here.
That's awesome.
God.
Yeah.
Because I recognized the
That's cool.
names
I
he
am
was
seeing it
naming
now
off.
too.
I'm like, wow.
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
yeah,
you're up here with like Alex Szymanski and like Fabrizio Ingasilva.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like, oh man, this is
And
what's
there's
going
this
on here?
random guy playing Gouging Fire up here. But
Hey, random guy for now.
so yeah, I take my loss to Gabe. Go to round 12, and I hit another cloth, and um, they played extremely well. Our game one, I think I just went too aggressive. I wasted too many resources early, and they were able to just wipe me out. I couldn't even power anything up at the end. We got a game two, and they couldn't get anything going. They had like a cloth and something else. Never seen another Pokemon. They scooped that game up. And going into game three, that one was very even, perfect ending. Um, that's exactly how I would have loved the match to go. Everybody, both of us make great plays. We back and forth, taking knockouts, and they end up whiffing the the mochi to take the knockout with Bear on my last Gouging Fire.
She on there is crazy.
Yeah, that's the only way they can hit the numbers with Charmon. So they whiff that and
True.
And once they whiffed that, they just bossed. They bossed, I think, another Gouging Fire that had no energy on it. And I top deck Jet
Mm-hmm.
Energy. So I top deck I top deck Jet, and I show it to them, and that was it. I was like, oh my
Yep.
God, that was that was 12 extremely like mentally draining and emotional rounds because
Mm-hmm.
uh like I said, my son didn't have a great tournament, and by round 5 we kind of knew
Yeah.
he wasn't gonna um like get any points there, and he was pretty bummed. He was very bummed,
Yeah.
and I'm like, well, I've really had to pull through for them. I know Dallas and Shane, their tournament run wasn't so great, not what they wanted. And when they realized how well I was doing, I was like, well, I guess I really have to go for this. I pulled together for the
Yeah,
crew,
absolutely.
and I'm glad I did. It was awesome. I've never been there, and that feeling is just something different.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just kind of to reiterate again, because I just think that's so cool. Like going for that and getting 27 at not just like a regional, but like an international
Yeah,
is
that's huge.
absolutely insane.
I mean,
And
1,800 players, 18
yeah,
ten.
yeah, that is so sick. Like being able to just come in with a deck that you're not necessarily not even informed on, just a deck that you decide to like, I know this well enough that like I'm gonna enter it last minute and see how it goes, and writing it that far. I think that's so cool.
It was, um, and what's really crazy is like that's when I do my best is I'll pick something up and it'll be something random that's still good, but I'll make an okay run with
Hmm.
it. I remember my first regional
Yeah.
ever. Um, we just randomly went to Charlotte before I really started playing. Uh, not this
Hmm.
past year, but the year before. I went to
Okay.
Charlotte
Oh, so
with some of
Eevee
the
Charlotte.
guys.
That was Silver
Yeah,
Tempest format.
yeah, Silver Tennis Woman.
Ooh.
And one of
Oh.
our friends, one of our friends from the local store, he's like, "I got this deck that you need to play." I'm like, "All right." And he's like, "It's Art Dura." I'm like, "Okay." Uh, that morning, I'm like, "All right, give me the rundown on this. What do I do?" He's like, "Set up Arceus, attach double turbo, and charge up Duraludon, then just set up 2 Duraludons, and that's all you use." I'm like, fair enough. That's what I'll do. And out of the whole group of us that played that, I did the best, but I didn't expect that many rounds. So I was kind of tired, and I ended up dropping at like I think I was like 4-1 or 4-1-1. They were like, "Why are you dropping? You're still in contention. You can keep going." Um, but I had cut, uh, I think I cut the Drapion out of there for some reason, and I was going into a sea of Mew, and that was just I couldn't beat it. I could not beat the Mews.
Yep.
Like, man, I'm done. I'm gonna go get lunch, and but I've always done best if I just pick something up and I do okay. I can learn it on the fly.
Awesome. That's really impressive. It's a hard skill to
Yeah,
learn.
for sure. Um, I think I've kind of exhausted my pool of questions. I think maybe my one last one is kind of, do you see yourself still kind of aiming to use Gouging Fire at least now until rotation, or are you going to try to use it after rotation? Is it more just going to be like, I'm kind of done, I don't want to play with you anymore?
I want to use it in San Antonio, but the meta is too hostile towards it. Between all the Guardy coming back, the Arclodon, the Charizards, and the Dragapults, it's so difficult.
Yeah.
It's very doable, but some of those matchups, yeah, they're too difficult to go into. I think I've pushed as far as I can go with it.
For sure. No, that's still impressive, but it's a sad day for Gouging Fire enjoyers, unfortunately.
You still top 32 to an IC with it, so that's a good run in my book.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, being up there with Luke Kirkham to get top 32 at a regional or an IC with that's big.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I got to give props to the real goat there. So his deck works.
It's a good deck.
Yeah, it is.
Let's talk about moving forward, though. We mentioned San Antonio. What does that look like for you? I think we had to move this interview up to this week because you're traveling out there next Friday. What's that look like? Obviously, you said you guys do a lot of traveling as a family. Do you guys have like a specific thing that you do to like prep? Any tips for people who are doing the family thing?
So this season we changed it up a little bit. We're between Dallas and Shane. It's Dallas, Shane, myself, and my son, my daughter as well. That's our main testing group. But we also bring in a few other locals that help us test as well at my house. And so we'll have two 12-hour test sessions for San Antonio, which this Sunday will be our last one. Yeah.
Okay.
So what we normally do is I normally have just about any deck that you want to test against. I'll build it. They show up and we'll test whatever matchups they want. But with my kids, I mean, I spar with them all the time, so I have to constantly learn all these other decks, which I believe has helped me tremendously into this season. That I've had to learn how to play pretty much everything else, so I know what they're thinking, what they're going for. And my kids are very talented players, so going against them is just like going against anybody else at a regional. They're great to practice with. So I mean that's what we do. God, and I started to play live a lot more. I don't like playing live because it seems so unrealistic. The randomization and draws, it's like I've never seen hands like this in real life, but I guess it's possible.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely not the best metric for testing, but
certainly not.
It's a metric, I guess, for maybe learning your deck a little bit.
It's a metric. It's one of the metrics of all time, that's for sure. It is a way to play the Pokemon trading card game on your phone, and it does that. That's awesome. It's really cool that you mentioned Shane as well, because we've had him on the show before, back when I was running things solo, and we talked about his Baltimore top 32 finish with Lugia, And it's really cool to see now two of you guys. Obviously, like your run at LAIC is not the newest of news, but like equally as impressive. And it's cool to see such talent and skill coming out of this area in a group of players that is so local and like so active in the community.
Mm-hmm.
How long have you been rolling with those guys, with Shane and Dallas?
So Dallas, we started traveling with him some last year, probably like 3/4 of the season in. I think the first one was maybe Indianapolis, where we started kind of rooming together. Um, and Shane was at NAIC. We've hung out with them at the
Nice.
stores here and there. But after Worlds, he started coming around more, and he just kind of took to us, and we love testing with him, and he just kind of became part of our group.
That's super
But
cool.
yeah, I mean it's worked out very well. I've tested with other groups before, and are haven't had as much progress as we have had this year. Like it's been
Nice.
so helpful having everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's super awesome.
And it clearly shows that with you guys continuing
Mm-hmm.
to perform really well at like serious events and stuff like that. I can't overstate how cool it is to see somebody from our area doing well and bringing out cool decks and cool technology for decks, and also just being able to make it like sustainable in something that you do as part of your life. Like that's just,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's really cool. I need to get me a testing group like that, because that's super awesome. It's something I aspire to work towards. With is it the same group all going to San Antonio this weekend or next weekend? This weekend,
Yeah.
if you're watching on free feeds.
Yeah, so for my family, it's just going to be myself and my son to San Antonio.
Yeah.
We're splitting up this time as
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking my daughter Marita. Um, 'Cause my son
Okay.
doesn't need
Okay.
any more like major events. I mean, uh, unless we're chasing stipend, his invite is locked in.
Mm-hmm.
He's got it. Um,
Awesome.
so yeah, we're splitting up. So it'll be me and my son in San Antonio, along with Dallas and Shane, um, and a few other of our locals that Shane has mentioned. The Rock is going to be there, and
Oh,
Daniel as
nice. I
well.
haven't seen Rock in months.
Yeah, I haven't seen him,
Okay.
and yeah, it's been quite a few months since I've seen him. But yeah, they'll be there with us.
Shout out to Rock. Rock, if you're watching, pull back up. We miss you. Sorry, go ahead. I cut you off.
You're good. But yeah, it'll be them, and we just another one of our locals wanted to come into our testing group. He's also very good, can see a lot of talent, and he's tagged along. So he's coming along to a few of the regionals with us and rooming with us and
Nice.
joining our test sessions.
That's super cool. Nice.
That's super cool.
That's really sweet.
Yeah.
Where do you guys normally play at?
We go to RC Games in Newton.
Okay.
That's
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know
that's where we
where that
normally
is.
go. And then we haven't really ventured out too far for cups and challenges this season. We used to go to South Carolina all the time,
Mm-hmm.
but we kind of stayed kind of local.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that's our normal story. Every Thursday, we're there.
Nice. Ooh, Thursday?
That's super cool.
Super sick. Wow. Awesome stuff. I briefly wanted to touch back on, this is a question I ask everybody that we have on. Do you have and it's very possible that it might just be Gouging Fire at this point, or maybe even the Delphox, but do you have a favorite Pokemon, or like a Pokemon that you really are fond of, that has come as a result of like playing a deck or a certain team in the VGC or anything like that, that you maybe like didn't care too much about before, but you started playing it competitively and like, wait a minute, this guy's kind of sick?
I think in the new stuff that has come out, it's gonna have to be Cerulege.
Nice.
Cerulege, it's just so cool. Charcadet and Cerulege, they're just so sick.
Yeah,
We got another one.
we
Let's
do.
go.
Are you playing Cerulege to San Antonio? Is that what you're for? Or I guess, do you guys have a deck that you guys are thinking about for San Antonio? What's in the running right now?
I know the correct play is more than likely Regidrago.
Yeah.
Obviously, but I think I will play. If I don't give Gouging Fire one more try there, I'll probably end up playing like Turbo Moon.
Okay. I can see it.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Super underrated deck, honestly, right now.
Moon is doing so good right now.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that just feels localized because I don't see it on a lot of these events. But Moon feels so good at the moment. And what do you think about just Roaring Moon as a deck, given the current scape of things and how everything looks, just as a whole right now?
I think it's okay. I do have a certain build in mind that I've been kind of testing because the standard Turbo Moon, it does kind of fall to Dragapult. It has a hard time with it. Just because of the spread. You just put 30-30 on 2 moons and they can't gouge anymore. Makes it hard. But into everything else, I think it has an okay matchup. Has a fine matchup into Regidrago. Fine matchup into just about anything. But I think I'm leaning towards this build I've been testing.
Now, I won't force you to leak the sauce, but if it's fresh water set, please blink twice. I mean, it's an option.
Hey, it's an option.
That's not a no.
It's not a no. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. That's confirmed for San Antonio. You're going to see Jose on the big screen with fresh water set Roaring Moon. Guaranteed top cut.
Let's go.
I'm here for it. That'd be... I can't even imagine how that would have to work.
The first cup I ever won
so cool.
was with Turbo Moon, and I played a one of Emergency Jelly in it. So
yes,
anything's possible.
So good. It's such a cool card. I dig it.
I miss Jelly and Moon.
Yeah, definitely. It's
Bring it back.
I guess it is still not as good. Bummer. That is
unfortunately. Yeah, it's just not quite as good now because of Dragapult and damage spread.
Boo.
And Dusks too.
Oh, true, Dusks.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Too much damage counters in the format right now.
That's true. And it's about to be more. Sable's coming back.
Oh my god.
I'm so ready. I know. We still got a little bit of time. I kind of want to talk about looking a little forward. If that's okay with you guys, we can kind of talk about.
Yeah.
Or I guess rather, maybe not as much looking. I'm trying to make a decision right now. I'm not sure if I want to talk about like. So very topical. the Prismatic Evolution set obviously just came out. And we've seen like the reprint announcement, things of that nature. Do you guys want to talk about? We could talk about like either the like scalping situation, or we could talk about what the meta is going to look like. I know last week Johnny and I kind of talked about it. Jose, do you have anything that you wanted to kind of go over with that new stuff coming in Prismatic Evolutions with the 2 playable cards that come from the set?
Right? I would just love to get my hands on a couple of those. I have one Badoo.
Hey, Regigigas is 25 cents right now. I just ordered one, so
Nice.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, we already started testing some with the new format, and the first deck I wanted to test was Dragapult. I've been wanting to play Dragapult for a while, and it seems very good. My son is still on. He was just now testing Cloth Terapagos with the Badoos. And that also seems very powerful.
I ran into that the other day. It's crazy. Yeah. I ran into it, I think, yesterday playing Sablezard, because, spoiler alert, that's what I'm on right now for the Prismatic Evolutions format. And I've never felt so insulted as getting turn one my opponent got Badoo item lock off, but knocked out one of my comfies because it had Mochi and Brute Bonnet and Sneasler. And I was like, what are you... No, you can't knock me out horrendous. And lock my items. That's gross.
That's evil.
That's what my son just said. He's like, Dad, I just put a Mochi on this Badoo and poisoned a Dreepy and knocked it out. I'm like, oh man, that's rough.
Yep.
It's brutal. That's so funny.
God.
Oh yeah.
70 HP basics are having it rough right now.
They really are. With you're a rogue deck enjoyer. Do you think you'll ever pick up any of the evolution decks, Jose?
I've really been looking into the Flareon. I like its attack.
I knew you'd say that.
I like its attack, and I could see it going into some kind of firebox.
For sure.
Okay.
Definitely. My daughter has been wanting to play Sylveon forever.
Yes. What does that attack do again? Oh, that's the Angelite Sylveon. That's a good deck.
The Angelite.
It's not a good deck. It's a cool deck.
No, it's a cool deck. It's not very good.
That is super cool though.
Yeah, the unfortunately they didn't give us a lot with the EVs, and I think we're all pretty bummed about that.
So sad. I had so much saved up in Resonant Evolution EV stocks, man. I was so ready. I'd been buying so much Astral Radiance just because of who I am as a person. I had the Resonant Evolution money spread, dude. I was ready.
Oh boy.
And now it's a useless deck. I do think
Yeah,
Flareon could be cool though. I do hope somebody cracks a code on that.
That's really unfortunate though. Like, I don't think they'll be fully playable till full rotation happens.
Probably not.
Yeah.
Are you excited about
it's
rotation?
Definitely.
I am. I'm extremely excited. I'm ready for Regidrago to leave.
Yeah.
I am so ready for that. Like, even though like I was a Regidrago believer before it was cool, I am so ready for that deck to leave format.
Yeah. I am the same way.
Yeah. I think a lot of people are at this point.
Yeah, true.
It's time
it's
for a
crazy that
change.
they've just got all the tools at their disposal.
Oh
it is
my
time
God,
for a change.
yes.
I absolutely agree. Especially because we can't let them have Ends Reshiram. I'll be so mad. Don't put that in there. That's just insulting at that point.
Oh boy.
You know someone's going to build an expanded deck that way.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not even that good of it's not even that good of a Reshiram outside of the end deck.
No, it's not. It's not even a good Reshiram in the end deck.
They don't have to know that. They don't have to know that.
I've seen some expanded deck the other day with it was Reggie Drago with the double dragon energy,
Yeah.
and I'm like, all right.
I think LDF posted that video. In fact, no,
Wasn't
it was For the Win. TCG just put out a Reggie Drago ADP deck list.
Okay.
Which was weird because he doesn't normally put out expanded content, but it was cool to see because I don't know, like that's just interesting. It's gross to have like Reggie Drago in its current state be like, oh, what if we added the most broken card ever printed?
Exactly.
Oh man,
I like watching some of those expanded decks, especially LDF. He plays so many of them, and I'm like, all right, this is pretty cool. You can win on turn one. Like that's pretty sick, but unrealistic.
LDF's the type of guy to play the Lost Zone Dustclops deck.
Yes.
Where you play 4 Lost City and just blow up 4 Dustclops turn 2.
Yep.
Pretty cool.
Okay, but it's kind of a gas list.
It is gas, but no one's played it.
As someone who took it to a challenge once and did terribly with it.
That's awesome.
It's very fun.
I'm sure it is.
It wasn't the right format for it.
Is there a right format for it, though?
No, absolutely not.
So unfortunate.
Absolutely not.
Oh, man. Awesome. Is there anything else that you guys wanted to go over? Because, I mean, we kind of talked about everything we really had on the docket. Aside from, obviously, well, by the time this comes out, Birmingham and Rio de Janeiro will be over. I mean, unless you're on Patreon. But, I don't know, I guess... Congrats to Fabrizio for taking it with what did Fabrizio take it with? Taking it with Pult Thorns, I guess. I don't know. That's my drawing names from a hat. I'm gonna start rolling dice for decks and players to see who's gonna, I guess, win.
I'm excited to see what Luke is gonna come up with for Birmingham.
Definitely.
Oh yeah. Is he gonna
roll the Gouging Fire again?
Yep. Honestly, if he does, that's your sign.
That is my sign.
If he rolls up with it there, then you've got to do it.
I will.
It's gonna be an interesting weekend.
He's gonna pull out something crazy with it. I just know.
I think we're all pretty excited to see this last couple of weekends of regionals to come around and do their thing, so we can say, okay, that's enough of Sparks. Please, let's move to another format. Indeed.
It's crazy how, despite having only 2 playable cards, Prismatic really shakes up the meta a lot.
It does. It does. I mean, it pretty much renders Reggie Drago useless sometimes.
Which is so wild to think about. Because it's so strong right now.
Yep. But Badu will stop it.
It's
Yes.
Yep.
Love that little Brussels sprout. That's going to be great. Let other decks play. I don't have to worry about getting Trifrosted on turn 2.
Yeah, I'm excited to finally be able to touch Lost Box again after...
I don't have to run 2 Manaphy.
Months? Yeah, or that.
2 Manaphy is bad.
Very.
I'm so hyped. This format's going to be great. Awesome. Is there anything else we want to talk about, though? Or are we just kind of wrapping it up there?
I've got nothing else personally on here, but Yeah.
Ooh, Jose, what about
I'm
you, man?
good.
Sweet. With that said, Jose, where can the folks at home find you? Do you have social media at all
You can find me
that you can kind of plug?
on X. It's MGS2057.
Awesome. I will, of course, leave Jose's links in the description below. I think that's really all I've got. Catch Jose on the big screen in San Antonio in finals with Gouging Fire.
I will do my
Putting
best.
Azul GG in his place. I believe it. I believe it's gonna happen. Thank you so much, Jose, for coming on the show. We really appreciate you coming on here, imparting some of your wisdom as a player and a family man to us and the folks at home. I'm really excited to see what you and your group continue to put out there, helping put Charlotte kind of on the map for competitive play. I guess even more than it already is, because there's some big names from here, but
There
we're
are.
hoping to put some more out there, including yours, man.
Thank you so much for having me on here.
Yeah, of course, anytime, man. And with that said, that's kind of all we got for you this week. Again, remind everybody, go to patreon.com/terminal creative to catch these episodes early and get access to our bonus content, which I believe Johnny and I are about to go record right now. Have a good night.
Take it easy.
Take it easy,
All
y'all.
right. See ya.